And we're here. Hey, hey, everybody. Michelle with Fight Club. I wanted to give you a back of the house kind of look at the huge convention today and primarily at AMP, which is an incredible mastermind. So we're going to walk down, we're going to hang out in the back, we're going to listen for a few minutes, and then we're going to grab Mike Dahlke, who's one of the members that started this awesome group. And we're going to grab Mike Dahlke, come back out, sit down, and interview him. So it's going to be super fun. So let's see what's going on back here. We're just back here getting started, so it's super fun to come on this journey with me. Okay, around the food. Hi there, good morning.
Did you get something to eat?
I did, thank you so much. So sweet. Okay, so let's just go in the back and see what's going on here.
Like, think about it as if you're going to own it for the rest of your life. And then Dan's not here. Who's going to shout it for me? Rob? Think. Who not how? Who not how? Who not how? You're no longer the who. Somebody else needs to be the who. As you expand and grow and multiply your business and take it to your next level, like, you're not going to be able to do everything. So you need to find the who and not try to figure out how do I do this. Make sense? Okay. So how many, I was talking to Omar, who's from Nashville, right? So you drove in. Who else drove in? Anybody like, you're, okay, good. You're within spitting distance or quartering distance. Probably took you less time to drive here than it did for me to find my way from my room here. This place is a labyrinth. It's awesome, but it's like, but, and then everybody else, I assume you flew in. So, yeah. Man. Okay, damaging admission. Only Doug knows this. Doug, what do I have that's new this year?
The ability to hear us all better.
Yes.
And let me say publicly, I am proud of you for admitting that you need some help.
Yeah.
He has a new set of hearing aids in.
You see this?
So,
I actually have superpowers now. Like, I didn't realize, like, if I just put these on, everyone stopped mumbling. Like, wow, this is great. There's one piece of technology, they're very high tech, so they're connected to Bluetooth, but I can turn my ringer off, but it brings in my, like, I can't turn that part off yet because I am over 50. So every once in a while, like, I've gotten 2 phone calls from standing there, like, but you didn't know that, but it's annoying to me. So we're getting there. This is progress, not perfection. All right. I wanted to share something with you, and like, we're probably all on the same page. I think it's really cool to be in a room full of people that are go-getters, that are visionaries, that are like, let's get shit done. And usually, does this ever happen to you? You come up with an idea, you're like, do it, let's go. We'll figure out the details later. Anybody like that? Yeah, they're probably pretty good. And then the flip side of that is, try working with a room full of people like that. Like, you guys are horrible to work with. Oh, it's time to start. Like, yeah. Yeah, like, show up, whatever. Yeah, so we've got a couple of things that we're going to be doing this morning. We're going to be changing locations once, and I will do my best to give you very clear instructions, but we'll have to execute quickly and swiftly so that we can stay on time, that we don't lose anybody, because somebody will end up in the lazy river if we don't do it right. You're like, oh, shiny object, let's go. But this is what I want to ask you. This ever happened? Denise and I flew out Sunday morning. We're like way too early. We're at the airport at 4:15. Okay? And what do you do at 4:15? Like, I'm gonna get coffee. Well, Missoula, Montana, we don't have a Starbucks in the airport. There are 4 gates, 5 gates. It's tiny. I love it because you can show up, 10 minutes before boarding and be through security in your phone. But my wife is perennially 30 minutes early, so like we're way ahead. We get coffee. There's 4 people in line, and we realized quickly, like, the lady that's running the coffee shop. Like, she's working by herself, she should have somebody else there. And because it's the gift shop as well. And 4 people in front of us, the first guy goes, he's like, yeah, I want a 6-cent white. He orders a latte. She's like, okay. And then she goes and leaves, goes way to the other side of the counter and makes a latte for like 18 minutes. And then brings it back and goes, sorry for the wait. And then next. And I'm like, we're gonna miss our flight. We're only an hour early. Like, and there's 3 people ahead of us. We're never gonna make it. And she's like, sorry for the wait. And he goes, I'll have a drip and I got these peanuts. And she's like, okay, wait. She runs back. And like instantly I'm like, there's probably 15 different ways she can do this better. You could go, okay, anybody that needs coffee wants to get in this line, anybody that just has a purchase, come over here. Ring, 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 ring. Right. If you're ordering coffee and it's not a fancy one, you just want to drip, tell me, write it down there, and get 5 of them and go. But you see that all the time, right? You see missed efficiencies and moments for people to, but when you're in the weeds, how hard is it to see that? If you're the one that's struggling, you got 15 people in line, everybody's making fancy orders, you're worrying about yourself, and you're pissed off because Margaret didn't show up, and it gets overwhelming, right? But when you're from the outside, it's easy to see a solution. Now, so one of the things that we're going to cover this morning is an innovation cycle or innovation circle to help pull you out of a sticky situation and get you to see it from a different plane and iterate quickly. That's going to be a lot of fun. Before we dive into that, watch this. I have technology. Has anybody used PowerPoint before? This is literally my first time. I've never used slides. Right? So we have to skip this one because I already passed it. Nope. Here. I know it's in there somewhere. It's in your book. Please take your mastermind book and turn to the first page, and it says wins in the quarter. So we're going to start with, we can call this the positive focus finder. We're going to, you need to take a minute to remind yourself how great you are. Because as entrepreneurs, you're ordinarily looking so far ahead, you forget to look back and go, I'm actually kicking ass. And it's easy to forget the victories you've had because you're looking for the next challenge you're trying to conquer. So we're going to take 2 minutes and turn on some light music and just write down your wins from since the last time we saw each other. It's actually 75 days wasn't too important. Jared, we'll get the music. My doggy.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
Hi. Let's walk and talk, shall we?
Let's walk and talk.
Thank you for letting me pull you out of class.
That's better than me trying to do 2 things at once. Walk and talk. I'm not a woman. Women can do all these things
we
at
can
once.
do it
I can
all.
only do one thing at a time.
What did they used to say? Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. She did everything he did, but she did it backwards and in high heels. Right?
That feels about right.
That does feel about right.
Yeah.
So I've got some chairs set up here.
All right.
And I want to talk to you about AMP. How did you start it? What was the thinking? What do you want it to be when it grows up? What's the next chapter for it? And I just thought I'd spend a few minutes with you. And then if some of the participants come out, maybe we'll catch them. If not, it'll just be you and me hanging out.
That works
Yeah.
for me.
So we're right over here.
All right, perfect.
So fun. Okay, you sit over there.
Okay.
How about there?
You just tell me
Beauty
what to do.
before age. How about that?
I don't know.
Love it. Oh, okay. Looks like we can't move to our computer, but we're going to be right here on the phone. So I'm just going to
All
set this up against the computer. Looks like my computer decided to be unhappy after I left.
It doesn't like
Of course, it doesn't. Well, that's how it works sometimes. Everybody knows it. Oh, how about right there? There we go. Oh, even closer. Okay, beautiful.
That's working.
It is working. Okay, gorgeous. There we are. Hi.
Hi.
So, AMP, tell me a little bit about how you got it going. And why was it BBB first? And now how did it change its name?
Yeah, so BBB started in my basement.
I love it.
And so it didn't start as AMP because it wasn't professional at all.
Okay.
It was me and 5 other people, Michael Kaplan, who you know,
Yeah.
Gabe Torres,
Whoops.
who you also know.
I do. I know all those guys, and I love them.
They, you can see it, catch it on the,
There we go.
there we go. Oh, that's it.
Beautiful.
We decided one night that we were going to get a bunch of bourbon. We
like
were
it.
going to sit in my basement and we were going to talk about business and bullshit.
I like it.
So it started as business, bourbon, and bullshit because we were having a great time talking business. We all loved business. We all were passionate about it. So that was how it started. We drank 2.5 bottles of bourbon. I got in a great deal of trouble with my wife for waking the baby up at that time. But we had a good time. And we said, hey, let's continue doing this. So actually at the Huge,
Cool.
it was Atlanta before we owned the Huge.
Really?
We had our first ever formal BBB. We rented a suite at the Ritz-Carlton.
Was this before the Missouri Huge?
It was the
Do you remember
year
what year?
before, I believe, the Missouri Huge.
Okay.
Must have been the year before.
Had to have been.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay,
it's in
sorry.
Atlanta. So anyways, we had 12 people, and we just said the same concept. We're going to have a bunch of bourbon. We got some snacks at that one.
Good times.
And we're going to share ideas and concepts, and we're going to get 12 people in a room and see what happens. And we had a ton of fun. Dan thought to put a couch to a door.
I think I remember this story.
Yes, I bought a door for the Ritz-Carlton. We had a great time, and we all learned stuff, and we started saying, man, I took this idea from this guy, and this guy started pressure washing, and this guy did
Sure.
this. And it started to really meld. So then we did it formally in Nashville, where we had 32 people come to Nashville, fly in. At that time, we did a 2-day thing, and at that point, we started sharing the $10,000 ideas. How could you implement
Love
something
that part.
right now that could make you $10,000?
Hmm.
So it started to grow over time. Sid has he's more of an MC and more of
Yeah.
a personality than me, so he's taken over a lot of the day of, and they professionalized it a little bit and called it AMP
I love
instead of
that.
BBB, because even though it's business and bourbon, not many people drink bourbon. There's a lot of
That's
people that don't
true.
drink at all.
My
in the
husband's
group.
one of those people. He
Yes.
drinks Diet Coke.
Yes, I barely drink anymore. I haven't had a bourbon except for Keith Howell's grandson's birthday, or his first grandson was born, and so
Oh,
I had a
nice.
bourbon with him. But I haven't had a bourbon in probably a year.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
This
so
is why everybody's getting so thin over there
I
at the AMP group.
think
It's the not drinking.
it is. There is a definitely. Everyone is saying it this time. We're all losing weight.
Yes.
That
So
wasn't
good.
an intended consequence, but we
So
changed the
good.
name and we just
You
started.
did. Everybody shrunk.
We're all getting smaller.
It's fantastic. So you've got kind of this cool workbook together that I love. And you didn't used to have this. I used to come to BBB, and this is a new addition. So you guys are super organized now. Tell me kind of what the program looks like for those who would love to know more.
Yeah, so the general concept of the program, a couple of things. One, Sid said it, and you probably have it on video. The number one thing is getting the right people in the room so the magic can happen. It's funny, Bobby's No Bitch Zone started at an event. Dan's business bourbon or bookkeeping and whatever he could both, that started at BBB.
I love it.
So if you got the right people in the room, just talking and sharing and hitting things, things just happen. Danny Lear's now a partner of mine. He helped me in 2 different businesses with things I would have never known about.
Really?
He made the shirts for the Huge.
We have swag this year?
We've got
Swag?
swag. Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
So the magic has just been happening. So the number one thing was to get people in the room. That's how it started. And now what we are really focused on is when you come to the event in Nashville, whether it's here at the Huge or it's at the Standard, when you leave, you leave with a focused 1, 2, 3 things.
Yeah.
Versus for me as an entrepreneur, I don't know about you, but I have 43 ideas
Oh, me
by
too.
noon.
At any given time.
I'm not sure which one to
Sure.
execute on. I'm not really sure what to do. And then when I can come to AMP, or for me, strategic coach as well,
Sure.
I leave and I feel like, all right, I have clarity. I'm not getting coached by anybody. Nobody's telling me do this. They're
Sure.
asking questions in a way that says, hey, based on this, we're going to narrow it down to what's
We're going to
important to
focus
you.
you. That's so good. So good. So tell me about the 90-day sort of concept of AMP, because I like that too. I think that's a real differentiator between you and other masterminds.
Yeah, so there's a book called The 12-Week Year,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where it started for us. So the concept was all of your goals you hit at the last minute.
You do?
Right? So you do the thing and you keep procrastinating, saying, I got all year to hit this goal.
Yeah.
And then you get to the end of the year, in the last 3 weeks,
Yeah.
you're
True.
hammered.
So
or
true.
whatever it is. So if you, instead of thinking about a year, our brains aren't wired to think in a year.
Sure.
They're better to think in about 13 weeks. So the concept of the 12-week year was you do everything in 12 weeks, so you're compressing the
Sure.
timeline. So try to do a year's worth of activity in 12 weeks, and then you get an extra one just in case.
Just in case.
Or for us, my family, we try to take a vacation on that
Really?
extra week and say, yeah, we did everything in 12 weeks. We had a great year. Now let's take a vacation.
I
So
love that.
the
That's
90
so
days
true.
is based on that book.
And it's the 52 weeks, right? So of course, yeah, you do get one extra one a month or a quarter. I love that.
Yep.
I love that. Tell me about, speaking of quarters, tell me about this guy. This, please.
Yes.
Share what this guy is, please. Michael Hyatt was a genius when he created this guy.
Yeah, and I think Sid recorded me doing how I use it. I use it a little different than Michael Hyatt teaches, but
Please.
it's the full focus planner, and it is built on the quarter, and it really, again, helps you reorient as you get crazy entrepreneur throughout the week.
Yep.
Reorientate it every week back to, all right, I gotta stay focused on my top few goals.
Yeah.
And make sure that my activities are lined up, because by the end of the week, my 42 ideas turn into 400,
Yeah.
and now I gotta reorient my thinking back. So the full focus planner, I've been doing for 5 years. And when I started that, we had blue skies. We were probably doing $5 million of revenue. We had just started Right Hand Rhino with Gabe, so I was
Really?
literally cleaning windows. As Gabe was selling, I was coming behind him cleaning windows. So fast forward 5 years, that full focus planner helping me stay accomplish our goals. We now have about 42 million of revenue that we're doing across all the businesses that we've been involved in and investing.
And you believe that that tool has really been instrumental?
I believe that is probably the biggest, most impactful tool that I have used.
Really?
Yes.
That's a huge statement.
Yes. I have ADD. I have the affliction of being a visionary entrepreneur. I can't
Guilty.
I can't get through the day half the time without either having to write stuff down. The amount of stuff before that planner that I would just forget about, it would happen and forget, or now I can write it down and make sure it gets transferred to someone who can do the work or whatnot. It's been enormous for me. I tried to do it all on Google,
Sure.
but
Impossible.
yeah, the second I pull up my phone, there's email, there's text, there's Voxers, there's base
You
camps,
get
there's
distracted.
yeah.
There's something really lovely, and I have a huge admission. I just started using the Full Focus Planner this year, even though I was a member of BBB last year, and now Doug is in BBB/AMP now. But it has absolutely changed my life too.
Yeah.
I can agree with you 100%. Is that I have ADD too, probably, and the emotional thing about putting it down means it is somewhere, and something about your phone, like you said, or your computer, it can be really easily lost in the maelstrom, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. When people come to AMP, they also get gifts and prizes. Tell me about the book concept and how that came about, because I love that too.
Yeah, so I think I've done my talk with you before on the biblical leadership model.
Yep.
And one of those is you have to give the sheep food for growth.
Sheep
Right.
and shepherd, yep.
Yep, so the food for growth that we want to give, again, we're not here to coach. BBB AMP is it's not Conquer. Conquer says, hey, you should be doing this on marketing, you got to make this many calls, you got to do it. You have a coach driving the activity for you.
Sure.
That's not what this is.
Yeah.
This is more of we're getting you the right people in the room so the magic happens, ideas, collaborations, things like that. So the book is our way of saying, hey, we still want you to grow. We don't want you to be the same person today as you are 3 years from now. We want you to be a completely different person 3 years from now at a completely different level. So we want to invest in your growth. So we don't come to BBB and say, hey, here's this big ask.
Sure.
Right? We want to be, hey, here's this big gift. So we're going to give you the book. We're going to give you a room full of great people. We're going to give you some curated ways to think about your business. But we're going to be focused on giving, not taking.
It's so beautiful. It's a totally different mindset than most masterminds. So that's another differentiator for sure. I'm obsessed with it. Okay, so what's going to happen today with folks that are visiting, because it's a visitor's day for the huge convention today? What are they going to get in that room today?
Yeah, so we're going to do a little bit different than we normally do. usually it's a lot of new stuff
Sure.
to think about your business. So this one we're going to talk about how we can turn ideas into sessions.
Got a whole bunch of people walking through. This is a good time.
Yeah, sessions are letting out.
Very vibrant here at the Gaylord.
Yeah, non-huge sessions.
Yep.
But anyways, today we're going to talk about principles and decision making. So in the past, we've talked about time management, what should we be delegating, what should we be giving up, those type of things. We talked about investing. We talked about lots of different things. This one's going to be more about decision making. So one of the things that we've done at a higher level, now that me and Kaplan don't operate businesses anymore, is that we want to share principles with people that can help them make decisions. And so we actually have a framework that we go through to make decisions, where we take it from here's the ideal outcome of the situation. I'm thinking about hiring a GM. Remember
Sure. Oh yes. Oh yes.
And I got 100 different ideas about what I should do, and I ask these people, and they all have different ideas and different concepts. And how do you organize all that? So we have a tool that we've been using for a long time. Since what's the ideal outcome? What are the principles that I believe are fundamental to make the decision? Not nice things I read in the book once or somebody saying on a podcast, but fundamental truths. And then what does success look like after the hire? So what has to be true after this hire is done? And then what's our next reaction steps? So it takes you from, I've got all these ideas and all these people are giving me advice and I've got all these things about hiring this GM.
Sure.
How do I pay them? All this kind
What
of
do
stuff.
I do?
To, all right, I have some principles that are fundamental, the truths that I can use. Like one of ours is, we'll never hire a CEO that has problems with managing their personal finances. If they can't manage their personal finances, how are they going to manage their business finances? We'll never hire a CEO that has not had profit and loss experience in the past. How do you expect them to run a profitable business if they've never done it before?
So true.
So we have principles that we go within success. Success might be our business grows by 10% or more. This person has a high integrator score, whatever that is. And the next reaction steps are hire a recruiter, whatever that is. So we're going to go through today how that decision making works.
Okay.
And then we're going to also go through how to start developing principles. So when you're listening to podcasts or listening to Fight Club, you're taking out maybe 1-2 things out of everything instead of 15.
Yeah.
And so these are the fundamental things I've got to deal with or I think are true. So Michelle says this, I got to implement that in my business. It goes on our list. And so you're constantly developing principles. So when you have a decision that relates to that topic, you already have your truths.
That's so powerful. We implemented traction into our business last year. And so we have a lot of frameworks that we work on in Colors. And I'm obsessed with any way that you can have a pathway for anything. And I'm finding that those pathways really empower your team to be able to help make decisions with you. Do you see this as something that you can work with on your team, or is it just basically an owner that would kind of do this? Tell me how you could implement this into a company.
100% the team. The goal is that it is the team. Because one of the frustrations that we were having when we exited operations and started investing in business, they come to us with every question. And you just like, oh my God, I answered this one so many times. And as a visionary, it's frustrating to get those questions. You're like, you should just know it, even though they really shouldn't just know it, but you feel that way. So what we've done, the most basic one that we had with window cleaning, it was a simplified version of this, where we said, in the field, if you're a window cleaning technician or you're somebody on the phone, if you can use these 3 principles and come up with a decision, you never have to ask us. And those 3 principles were, can I do this do the best possible thing for the customer, cash flow positive, so we're not going to lose money by whatever I'm doing, and it's not going to hurt anyone else on our team. So at the end of the day, I can't finish a job and I got to postpone until tomorrow. That's going to hurt the team because the girl on the phone is going to call them up. The customers are going to be upset that I'm coming. But if I could say, hey, ma'am, I'm not going to be able to get these 3 windows because I don't have the ladder. Would you prefer that I just give you a 20% discount? And they say, I love that. It's great for me. It's great for you. Nobody's on the team. Good. Done. We're done. We don't ever have to discuss it. We made the decision. So it gives them a path. That's the most simplified version we have, but our team uses the principles.
That's so cool. And so in the room, are they going to be able to identify the principles that are important to them and kind of like put that framework together while they're here?
We're going to start categorizing, maybe have a couple.
Perfect.
But the intent for developing principles is all of us read.
Mm-hmm,
All of us listen to podcasts.
We do.
All of us go to events.
We do.
Right? And how many times have you heard Tommy Mello said something really cool,
Yeah.
and you write it down and you go, I
gotta get this.
gotta get this, and then
Yeah.
it just goes nowhere. The intention of this is to be able to say, if I hear something that's cool
Yeah.
related to my fitness, I'm gonna just let it go.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I'm gonna let it go. But if I find something fundamentally true, like there's no question that this will be true 10 years from now as it is today, then I'm going to write it down in a note on my phone
Yep.
that says my principles. And I got a whole ton of them.
Ew.
Oh, I've got 13, 14
I love that.
lists of principles.
Carry them around with you so you can always be reminded.
Correct.
That's great. It's
We
beautiful.
also, this is
Yeah.
one of my favorites. We have principles for every trip that we take.
Really?
So we go to the beach very regularly,
Sure.
a couple times a year. But we have a principles list that, hey, we want to stay this many days at this type of unit. We want to bring this. The Instacart brings these
Sure.
groceries
Yep.
because we like these meals.
Yep.
And so over the course of 6 years going to the beach, it's so dialed in. I tell Jessica, we're going to the beach. Jessica books everything. We show up within an hour.
Boom.
All of our food's there. All the stuff at the best places.
Oh my
And we've
gosh.
got it dialed in. Same with going back and seeing my family.
Wow.
There's might be some things that we're doing that avoid negative
Sure.
experiences there too.
Smart.
But
Smart.
we have a design that we said, hey, if we're going to redo this, if we're going to hire somebody over and over again, if we're going to have to have compensation decisions over and over again,
Sure.
or we're going to travel over and over again, anything there, we want principles tied to it so that those things that we're doing repeating are constantly getting better from now
Every
into
single
perpetuity.
time. I love that. That makes me so happy. Okay, talk to me about how the principles work in your family, because that vacation one sounded like it was more family than business.
Yeah, yeah. I should pull them up. For us, so what we'll do and what we've done for maybe 7 years now, going to the beach. When we go, we say, hey, we hope to do this. So our kids want to go crab hunting every
Yeah.
time at night. They want to dig holes in the
course.
sand. This last one, they wanted to stop at Buc-ee's. Do you know what
I
Buc-ee's
have
is?
no idea.
It's like the
Tell me.
biggest gas station in the world. There's
Oh,
probably like-
Bucee.
Yeah, that
Yes, I've seen
yes.
it. I don't. Is it Bucey's? Bucky's?
Buc-
I don't
think
know.
it's Buc-ee's.
Who
It
knows?
might be, who knows? But it's, they wanted to stop. So there's a couple things that they'll say, hey, I want to do. But then when we're driving home, we'll say, hey, what about this experience wasn't awesome? What was really good?
Sure.
And what will we do different next time? So on the drive home, we make notes in the phone.
Like a debrief.
Just like a little debrief.
I love it.
So now, I'll give you one. My wife hates driving.
Hey,
Hates
she and I are twins. I don't
Hates
like driving either.
You
I
hit
can't
2.5
stand
hours, and the joke is she turns into the hole.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't want to do it anymore.
Well, I'm with her. She and I are besties now.
She'll be here tomorrow.
Perfect.
I don't mind at all. Her father-in-law doesn't mind. We usually bring my mother and father-in-law.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind. So we will now fly Alex and her mom to Panama City Beach.
Really?
We'll drive because I don't know how your kids were,
Sure.
but my kids won't say a word to me in the car. But every 5 seconds, mama, mama,
Yes.
mama.
Oh,
She's in the
constant.
car.
It's true.
Mama,
I don't
mama.
know what that is. It's
So-
weird.
It's nuts. So now she gets in the airplane, she flies. We pick her up. It's 15 minutes from where we stay.
I love
And
it.
so she doesn't have the stress of all that. She gets to read a magazine, do her thing.
Yep.
She doesn't have the kids constantly nagging
Yes.
at her for 6.5 hours. I put on a podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
The kids never say anything, and I'm just fine for 6.5 hours. So that debrief that we've done has put us in a position where we've got it pretty dialed in, where how we can all feel good, happy, and we have the minimal amount of frustration.
Yeah.
On the family
That's
trip.
so great. That's so great. I can't stand being in the car. She and I are going to have a lot to talk about. I love this.
We've got the same thing for education.
Really?
Yeah, we homeschool our kids, and we said early we didn't want schooling to affect our kids' education.
Yeah.
And so school is great, but education is the ultimate goal. And we've said, hey, we want our kids to be in love with learning. We want them constantly getting better. We want them skilled in finances and math and communication. working as a team. So we've developed our principles that we want our kids to learn, and then try to have experiences and schooling tied to what the outcome is going to be. Yeah, so all kinds of things in our family.
Wow, that's so good. That's so good. Well, I can tell you that from being in BBB and AMP, and then now it's Doug's season to be a member, it has really helped him and our family and us. Honestly, it really has helped us. So I would encourage people to check it out. So the folks in the classroom are probably going to come out in a few minutes and hang out here and do some sort of game behind us. But I don't want to have you all stay because it might be a little loud and crazy. But I will shoot some pictures up in the group. If you want to know more about AMP, where do people go?
Wow, I should have been prepared.
Oh, it's okay. I'm sorry.
Can we
How
put it
can
in the show notes?
Of course we can. Of course
Uh,
we can. Is there an email or something
There
that we
is.
could just ask?
There is. There's a
Let's give him
website.
Jonathan's email.
Yeah,
just for fun. No, I'm
Jonathan
kidding.
at thehugeconvention.com works. Jonathan at thehugeconvention.com.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there is a website. I just haven't had to register
It's
in
okay.
7 years. So
Congratulations to you. That's great. Congratulations to you. Well, thank you for spending some time with me. I'm so grateful. This was awesome. Everybody have a great day out there, and I will see you all downstairs at the Huge Thursday and Friday. It's going to be an incredible time, so look for some pictures, and thank you so much, Mike, for all you do for
love
the
being with
community. Thank you. Okay, see you guys later.